The first thing I noticed about the house was the smell. Not the smell of death. That would have been easier. It smelled like wet pennies, like rust, like something metallic had been left in the rain for too long. I was driving through rural Pennsylvania when I saw the sign. Room for rent, $400 a month. The sign stood beside a narrow dirt road leading into a forest. At the bottom, someone had written a phone number in black marker. I should have kept driving. I had been living out of my car for nearly 2 weeks. My girlfriend had left me, I had lost my job, and the motel I was staying in had raised its rates because of some stupid local festival. So when I saw the number, I pulled over. I called. A man answered after the first ring. Hello? His voice was calm. Almost too calm. Hi, I said. I'm calling about the room for rent. And there was a pause. Then he said, You sound frightened. I laughed nervously. I'm not. Another pause. You will be. The line went dead. I stared at my phone. For a few seconds, I thought about driving away. Then I looked at my gas gauge. Almost empty. So I turned onto the dirt road. The house was enormous, much bigger than it had looked from the road. 3 stories, old wooden siding, windows covered by heavy curtains, a porch that sagged in the middle. And in the front yard, there was a dead tree with dozens of small metal objects hanging from its branches. At first, I thought they were Christmas decorations. Then I realized they were keys. Hundreds of them. Some were old, some were new. They moved gently in the wind, clinking together, like tiny bells. A man stood on the porch. He was tall, thin, maybe in his late 40s. He wore a gray sweater and dark pants. His face was completely ordinary. That was what made him frightening. No scars, no tattoos, no wild eyes. Just a polite smile. You must be Daniel, he said. I nodded. Mr. Harlow? Call me Vincent. He extended his hand. I shook it. His palm was cold, extremely cold. Come in, he said. I followed him inside. The smell was stronger there. Wet pennies, rust, metal. I noticed the walls were covered with photographs. Hundreds of them. People. Men, women, children. Some were smiling. Some were standing in front of the house. Some were sitting at the kitchen table. I stopped. Are these your family? Vincent looked at the pictures. No. Friends? He smiled. No. I waited. Then he said, They were guests. Something about the way he said the word made my stomach tighten. The room he rented to me was on the 2nd floor. It was small, but clean. A bed, a desk, a closet, a window overlooking the forest. Vincent stood in the doorway. Bathroom is at the end of the hall, he said. Kitchen? Downstairs. Are there any other tenants? He looked at me. Then he smiled. Not at the moment. I thought he meant the house was empty. I was wrong. That night, I woke up at 2:17 a.m. I heard screaming. A woman, somewhere below me. A long, horrible scream. I sat up in bed. The sound stopped. I waited. Then I heard it again. This time it was louder. Help! I jumped out of bed. I opened my door. The hallway was dark. The scream came from downstairs. I ran toward the stairs. Then, Vincent appeared at the bottom. He was wearing the same gray sweater, the same dark pants. His expression was calm. "What happened?" he asked. "There's someone downstairs." He tilted his head. "Someone?" "I heard a woman screaming." Vincent stared at me. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then he said,
"Old houses make strange noises." Another scream echoed through the house. I looked at him. He didn't move. The scream became a desperate cry. "Please!" Vincent smiled. "See?" He pointed toward the ceiling. "The pipes." I stared at him. I knew what I had heard. That was not a pipe. That was a human being. I went back to my room. I locked the door, and I stayed awake until sunrise. The next morning, Vincent was making breakfast. Eggs, bacon, toast. He hummed quietly while cooking. I sat at the table. "Did you hear anything last night?" He didn't turn around. "Hear what?" "The screaming." The frying pan stopped sizzling. Vincent slowly turned. His face was expressionless. Then he smiled. "You have an active imagination, Daniel." "I know what I heard." He placed a plate in front of me. "Eat." I didn't touch the food. "Who else lives here?" Vincent sat across from me. "No one." "Then who was screaming?" He stared at me. Then he leaned forward. "Do you know what I love about people?" I didn't answer. "They always think danger looks dangerous." His eyes moved toward the hallway. A monster. A killer. Someone with blood on his hands. Then he looked back at me. "But real danger?" He smiled. "Real danger looks like the person offering you breakfast." I stood up. Vincent continued eating. "Where are you going?" "Out." He didn't stop me. That was the first thing that frightened me. I walked back to the main road. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. I pulled out my phone and searched for the house. The address was listed as Harlow Estate. There were no rental listings, no reviews, no history. I searched Vincent Harlow. Nothing. Then I searched the address and found an old newspaper article. The headline read, "Local woman missing after visiting rural home." The article was from 1998. The woman's name was Marissa Cole. She had been 26 years old. The last person known to have seen her was a man named Vincent Harlow. I stopped breathing. I read the article again. Then I searched his name. More articles appeared. A man disappeared in 2003. A couple vanished in 2008. A college student disappeared in 2014. And a woman named Laura Bennett disappeared in 2021. Every case had one thing in common. They had all been seen at the Harlow estate. My hands began shaking. I called the police. The dispatcher asked me where I was. I gave her the address. There was a pause. Then she said, "Sir, are you certain?" "Yes." Another pause. "Please leave the property immediately." I turned around. Vincent was standing at the end of the dirt road. He was watching me. He had followed me. I ran. I didn't look back. I ran through the forest until I reached the highway. A truck stopped.
The driver was an older man. I jumped inside. "Please," I said, "drive." The driver looked at me. "Are you okay?" "No." I looked behind us. Vincent stood among the trees. He was still smiling. The truck drove away. I didn't stop until we reached a gas station. The police arrived 40 minutes later. They took me back to the house. But Vincent was gone. The house was empty. The front door was unlocked. There was no furniture. No photographs. No beds. No kitchen. Nothing. Just an abandoned building. The officer looked at me. "Are you sure this is the place?" I pointed toward the dead tree. The keys were gone. The tree was empty. I showed them the pictures I had taken of the house. But when I looked at my phone, the photographs were gone. Every single one. The police searched the property. They found nothing. No blood, no bodies, no evidence. Eventually, they told me I had probably been confused. Maybe I had stayed somewhere else. Maybe stress had caused me to imagine the man. But I knew what happened. I knew Vincent Harlow was real. And I knew he had killed people. The problem was, I couldn't prove it. 3 weeks later, I moved to Ohio. I found a job. I rented an apartment. I tried to forget the house. I almost succeeded. Then one night, I received an email. The sender's address was just a string of numbers. The subject line read, "You left too soon." There was one attachment, an audio file. I stared at it for almost 10 minutes. Then I pressed play. At first, there was only static. Then I heard breathing. Slow. Heavy. A man's voice whispered, "Hello, Daniel." I dropped the phone. The recording continued. "I hope your new home is comfortable." I ran to the front door. It was locked. I checked the windows. Locked. Then I heard something. A soft metallic sound. From outside. Clink. 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 I slowly walked toward the window. There was a tree across the street, and hanging from its branches were keys. Hundreds of them. My phone continued playing. Vincent's voice whispered, "You should never have listened to the screams." I stood frozen. Then the recording ended. A second later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I didn't answer. It rang again. And again. Finally, I picked up. For several seconds, there was silence. Then Vincent said, "Daniel." I couldn't speak. He laughed quietly. "You know what the problem is with people who escape?" I said nothing. "They think the story is over." Then he whispered, "But I don't collect bodies." I felt a cold sensation move through my chest. "What?" Vincent's voice became softer. "I collect memories." I heard something behind me. A floorboard creak. I turned around. Nothing. My bedroom door was open. I knew I had closed it. Then Vincent said, "Look behind you." I didn't. I couldn't. I was too terrified. "Look behind you, Daniel." The phone went silent. Then I heard breathing. Not through the phone. Behind me. I slowly turned. There was a man standing in my hallway. Tall. Thin. Gray sweater. Dark pants. Vincent Harlow smiled. And in his hand, he held a small metal key. I screamed. The lights went out. The police found my apartment 3 days later. The front door was unlocked. There was no sign of a struggle. No blood. No fingerprints. No body. Just one thing. A small metal key sitting in the center of the kitchen table. Attached to it was a handwritten note. The note said, "Heard you screaming." The police never found me. My family never found me. The case was eventually closed. But there was one detail the police never released to the public. The night I disappeared, a new key appeared on the dead tree outside the Harlow estate, and beneath it was a small metal tag with my name engraved on it. Daniel. To this day, people still report seeing a man standing beside the highway in rural Pennsylvania. He never asks for help. He never waves. He simply watches the cars pass. And sometimes, when someone stops to offer him a ride, he gets inside. He gives them an address. And he says, "There's a room available. But if you ever hear a woman screaming from inside the house, don't investigate. Don't knock on the door. And whatever you do, don't ask who else lives there. Because Vincent Harlow is still collecting keys. And somewhere in the darkness, he may already have one with your name on it."
Thank you for listening. If you want more of such stories, please subscribe, like, and comment more stories like this. Thank you.